Hello, and thank you for joining us for Inside the Newsroom, the show where I take you behind the headlines of our top stories with the staff members who put them together. I'm your host, Joey Taylor. Let's go ahead and get started. First, it's back to school season, and with that, students aren't the only ones preparing. So we're going to bring in our Summer Roddershot now, who actually spoke with bus drivers today as they are preparing to head back to school with students. Summer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, summer's coming to an end.
I know. Honestly, summer is my least favorite season, so I'm like not mad about it at all. So
I'm sure you probably got that joke
all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Sorry, I had to.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was a good setup.
I took the opportunity. So talk to me a little bit about the story you are working on and what people can expect to see tonight on KELOLAND News.
Sure. So I went out to School Bus Inc. That's out in, obviously in Sioux Falls. And so I just got there and I knew they were having a mock day. So a cool thing about school buses, I guess, is they do these mock school days ahead of the school year where the buses like go on their route and map everything out, make sure their timing is right. And so I was talking to a school bus driver right when they came back from that. So that's mostly where we started out, but then we sort of got into why the school bus driver wanted to get into driving. And that you'll have to tune in tonight to hear that one. But it was really cool seeing their passion behind wanting to work with kids and drive school buses. So
yeah, no, that's exciting. And you gave me that little teaser of you're going to have to tune in tonight. And now I really want to know.
I'll be honest, like as the person was talking, like that is the cutest reasoning ever.
Oh my goodness.
And so like I was like listening to it, I'm like, and that's the fun part is I sort of had to change, in your head, you always have a little idea. This is how my story is going to go. As soon as I heard my bus driver say that, I was like, you're changing my story a little bit. We're pivoting because the way they said it, and it's cute. I like it a lot. So
absolutely. Well, now we're all going to have to tune in.
You have to.
Well, we should all be tuning in regardless.
Anyways, of course.
So, of course. So this is now why or how bus drivers are preparing for the first day back to school. But did you ever ride a bus?
Oh, I rode the bus, I think maybe starting in first grade or kindergarten. I was pretty young when I started riding the bus. We lived out in the country, so my mom didn't want to have to drive 20 minutes in, 20 minutes out every day.
Right.
So, and I think that was the fun part. You had the bus drivers. Now, granted, I was always on my bus driver's good side, but you always had the bus drivers that you were, sort of friends with or like scared of. Like I said, I was never really scared of them, but they sort of like made or break it. Can make or break a ride, Yeah. And they were talking to me this morning that, they do it. A lot of the bus drivers do it because they like working with the kids, and you can sort of tell when that comes through. And I know I had some bus drivers that definitely helped shape my young mindset because they're the first people you see, one of the first people you see every morning, one of the last people you see every night. So yeah, I liked my bus drivers a lot. I think I even went to one of their houses one time and rode their horses.
Oh my
I think
goodness.
one of them had horses.
I
Don't
love that.
quote me on that, but I'm pretty positive one of my bus drivers had a horse and I rode that.
I won't quote you on that, but I absolutely love that. My son just started riding the bus this past year. He's in the Brandon School District, but just started riding the bus this past year when we moved back to South Dakota, and I think he likes it.
Yeah, you make friends on the bus.
I haven't heard any different, and I haven't heard any bad stories. Everyone seems very nice and friendly. Bus drivers all seem very nice and friendly, so I'm going to chalk it up to a win.
Yeah.
So yay
100%.
for bus drivers. Absolutely.
Yes.
Like, they all seem super nice, super friendly. So I'm really excited for your story. And when it comes to going back to school, what's the one thing everyone should know?
For bus drivers?
For bus drivers, for going back to school, anything.
Okay, well, I'm going to go for bus drivers because one of the things they threw in at the end is that when you see those stop signs flip out from the bus, stop. Because that means there's kids somewhere near, that's one of their main things. And they actually did mention to me that they're going to be having some law enforcement ride with some of the buses these first couple of days of school to make sure that people are stopping. But here's the deal, whether there's law enforcement there or not, it's a stop sign for a reason. You do not want to end up hurting a kid because you're ignoring that or you're late for work. I'm sure your boss will understand if you stop for a stop sign with children. So, yep,
Absolutely.
that's the main thing is like, stop, and obviously if your kids are going to school, there's other things you have to worry about. But just for the average person, stop when there's a stop sign or the arms out from the bus. So
absolutely. Stay safe. Keep your kids safe.
Exactly.
Keep everyone safe. So.
Yeah.
Well, Summer, thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you.
folks, watch her story tonight on
Yes.
KELOLAND. We will be right back after the break. Welcome back. South Dakota's two major airports located in Rapid City and Sioux Falls have recently been undergoing extensive construction. The projects are now looking for additional funding. So we're going to bring in our digital reporter, Quinn Gienap, who listened in on an aeronautics commission meeting last week where further costs were discussed. And again, he joins us now. Quinn, thank you so much for joining us.
Glad to be here.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your story in general and that commission meeting. What exactly did you learn? What are these airports looking for? Because we did talk a little bit more about them looking for additional funding.
So a lot of this meeting was kind of just going through the major projects that these airports are kind of going under, and these projects are several different construction projects all in one. So they're covering all their bases basically, and kind of governing here's what we spent so far, here's kind of what we've done, and then ultimately ending with here's kind of what we're asking for more. It wasn't decided on in this meeting yet if this funding will meet it, but basically Rapid City is looking for an extra $10 million to help with their costs, and Sioux Falls Airport is looking for another $5 million.
All right, and exactly what will this funding help address for these two airports?
So the Rapid City projects, there's kind of two main sides of it. One is an interior expansion of working with the TSA checkpoints and just expanding seating areas, because they mentioned they have an issue with congestion within the airport. It just takes a while for people to move, and security checkpoints just take forever. And then the other expansion is outside with making more just room for planes and more I think the word is a lane or a runways, and just making the airport bigger to accommodate the increased use of it. And then with the Sioux Falls Airport, it is simply kind of looking at increasing the runways as well as a little bit of interior expansion.
Absolutely. And so, that kind of is just what this commission meeting really was addressing, and those funds and helping what that would address. And how does that really kind of help the public and help the residents and citizens of South Dakota as, they travel through these major cities to go to these airports to leave, or even to those who want to visit South Dakota?
I think, from what I've heard, it's a net good. I think getting more people easy access to the airports, as well as expanding the amount of destinations you can go to from these airports, and just cutting down on the time and opportunities to take a flight. These are all I feel good things. I don't run an airport or anything,
Right.
but to me it just seems more room to travel.
Right. Well, and I think too, Quinn, have you ever flown out of the Sioux Falls Airport?
I have, and it's always a whiplash, coming back to that airport after going to Chicago or New York, and it's just wow, this is so small in comparison. It
Right.
feels like 1/16 of a lot of these other airports, so it is kind of neat to see it expand, this expansion. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it might be good to have maybe a little more runway space,
Yes.
or maybe a little bigger concourse, or some more baggage area, that type of thing. So,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Well, Quinn, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, folks, we do have to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll tell you about maintenance happening on a 1.5 million gallon tower in Sioux Falls and when it's expected to be completed. Crews are hard at work maintaining a Sioux Falls water tower along 57th Street. And to talk with me more about the project, let's bring in digital reporter Michael Dorn. Now, Michael, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Joey. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about the work going on the water tower. What exactly is happening?
Yeah, so this one is along 57th Street here, like you said. But they're basically sandblasting this thing. They basically are going to be tearing down a bunch of the material around it and be basically attempting to preserve that steel that's underneath there and make sure that's good and healthy, so that that water tower can continue to do its work here.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to bring up your web article now just so we can kind of scroll through this. And I know it is a 1.5 million gallon tower. And I'm going to scroll down here and talk to me a little bit about the photos. So you went out here and talk to me a little more about how exactly they're going to be sandblasting this tower.
Yeah, that's the same question I had kind of when I went here, but as you can see, they have these lines going down, and there's basically a staging that goes around the water tower there that they have that's with a pulley system and a motor, so that can go up and down as needed, so they can sandblast that wherever they want, pretty much on that standing. But they're going to be going inside and outside of this thing. They're going to be doing all of it here. And they're going to have a curtain, almost like a veil, kind of go up around the water tower while they're sandblasting it as well. So that sandblast doesn't go out and affect any of the neighboring properties or anything like that.
All right, real question, Michael. Did you get to go up the water tower?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, no.
I know.
Michael, we wanted to see you on the harness, like up there, maybe just sandblasting the water tower with the crew.
And nobody wanted that more than me. Trust me. But it just wasn't in the cards that day. I was not wearing my high vis vest and my hard hat that day.
Dang. We got to send you prepared next time, Michael. We really got to send you with the Kelo high vis vest, the hard hat, the boots, tennis shoes, steel-toed boots. There we go.
Steel-toed boots, yep.
That's what we got to send you with. All right, so Michael, can you talk to me about when they expect the project to be completed, done, that type of thing?
Yeah, so they're currently getting all this set up here for the sandblasting, and they're expecting it to be done around mid-October is when they're expected to reach that completion date.
All right. And so can you talk to me a little bit more about this story? Because you are one of our digital reporters. So a lot of times that's working within the Kelo studio and kind of making phone calls, putting these stories together. However, with this story, you went out, you took pictures, you kind of talked to the crew on hand, on scene, and really got more of a feel for this, like a field reporter would do. But talk to me a little bit about gathering the story, putting it together from your perspective as a digital reporter.
Yeah, well, it all kind of started when because I was curious, because I saw this construction kind of taking place, and I was just wondering, I was like, how do they do maintenance on a water tower? It's something you see and you never really think about. It's like, I understand the basics of something like street construction or anything like that, but a water tower is a little more vertical, and that kind of poses a different challenge. So I was curious how they were going to do that and how they were going to handle that. But yeah, I did a lot of research on water towers. I talked to the guy, and they build these water towers to last 100 years or so, they say. So the benchmark is kind of do maintenance every 20 or so years. But they said every year or so that they can shave off and ensure that's still healthy. That's another year that water tower can still keep going.
Awesome. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us. I love that little bit of information because I didn't really honestly think about that. I think we see these water towers all the time and we think, oh yeah, no, it's a water tower. But I don't think we ever think about the history or how long they're built to last or anything like that.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting research there that I had to do there. So yeah.
No, I really appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, folks, if you want to learn more or if you just want to see Michael's story again, look at those photos, go ahead and scan or go to our website. Actually, I pushed the wrong button here. This is our website, KELOLAND.com. I just pulled it up. I just pushed the wrong button. What I was going to do for you is put up our QR code. However, for some reason, I just can't find, oh, here it is. Our QR code right here, KELOLAND.com. Scan this QR code right here on your screen, KELOLAND.com. There it is. You scan this QR code. It's going to take you to KELOLAND.com where you can go and find Michael's article. Scan it. It'll take you to our website. You can see it. and it will take you again to Michael's article. You can go see all of those awesome photos and read all of the hard work and research Michael put into this story. But we do have to take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back. To wrap up our show, we are going to talk a little bit about football. Midco and South Dakota State football announced back in July that three, along with KELO News, of course, will be joining forces to broadcast a couple Jackrabbit football games. So to talk more about that is we're going to bring in Grant Sweeter, our digital content manager, who also used to be our sports director here at KELO, and he just happens to know the team. He happens to be here right now. So we wanted to talk football, Grant. How does it feel talking back sports, football, a little bit of a different shift from the digital side of things again?
It's always good. I mean, you never, I don't think I'll ever get out of it fully, you know. I mean, the sports team's always, I got some questions or asking for help, or, you know, I got to go out and shoot football Friday, some high school games on Friday night. So I don't know if I don't know if they'll ever get the sports out of me.
Yeah, you'll never leave sports truly. Just like we had Travis here last week talking sports as well. So.
Yeah. You know, you'll just never, you know, and Travis was a long time. He was a sports director longer than I was. So I'd be surprised if you ever get the sports out of either of us. But it'll always be at our heart. And when people ask to talk sports, we'll never turn them down.
Well, hey, that's always good to hear. So thank you so much for being here to talk sports with us. Let's talk SDSU. We're broadcasting some games here on KELO. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about why we're talking about this again, when the home game's going to be, and what exactly we're prepping for here.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a new partnership with Midco and SDSU, and it's a really good partnership. You know, it's one where Midco and SDSU have been together for years. And, you know, Midco has a great group and a great team that they put on some high-quality productions of football games. And this year we decided to work with us here at KELOLAND to add it to our KELO TV channel and now make that, you know, a bigger distribution of it than what Midco's airwaves could have done. So I think this is just a great way for the three to partner together. It's a way for, you know, a great broadcast of an SDSU football game to get out on air and to get to more eyeballs too. And so I think that's really cool. And the reason we're talking about it is because I don't know how it went by this fast, but
right,
we start college football this week. So
absolutely, yeah, some
of these smaller Division IIs play on Thursday. And then on Saturday, you get to see these Jackrabbits take to the field when they take on Stetson in the first game of the season. That's one of two games that we will partner with Midco and SDSU for. Then we'll do it all again in 2 weeks from this Saturday when they play on September 12th against New Haven.
Yeah, and that's going to air on KELO TV and Midco Sports. And I know both games are going to start at 6 p.m., but why is this such a big deal, aside from the fact that people love football and then people love the Jackrabbits?
Yeah, you know, SDSU's obviously built, you know, one of the best football brands, one of the best football programs in all of FCS in the entire country. And so they've had a lot of success. They won 2 national championships in the last 5 years. And so, you know, there's a lot of expectations behind this. They bring back an NFL talent at quarterback in Chase Mason. And so there's obviously the build behind it, but then, you know, to just, you know, have 2 of the biggest sports companies, you know, news companies, if you call it KELO News and Midco, and you know, to have them combine is big. And so, you know, I think that's a big deal in and of itself. And then obviously just getting the fact that we get to see SDSU football, you know, get distributed to more fans, more people across the state's obviously a big deal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I know just here at KELO, our audience is also pretty wide, and I'm going to put up the article that you and our Kelsey Dennehy worked really hard on in July when this was announced. Can you talk to me a little bit about just the audience this is going to reach?
Yeah, certainly. Towards the bottom here, there's a quote from Mary Ossenford, our general manager, and it's right there. You can see it just above the schedule there, where it talks about how we reach into Wyoming, Montana, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, and obviously South Dakota. We're the second biggest demographic for a news station in the entire country, behind one that's in Salt Lake City, Utah. So we reach, I mean, that's over a handful of states that we reach. And so I think that's another thing that, you know, SDSU didn't want to miss out on when they said, hey, let's get Kelo involved. I think was just saying, you know, we are pretty unique. We are one of two that reach this many people. And so they're like, of course, you know, if you're South Dakota State, why wouldn't you want your brand of football out there more? And this is a team that started 7-0 last year, Joey. Right. This is a team that, had it not been for injuries, who knows how good they could have been. Before all the injuries, they were undefeated and one of the best teams in the country. And then we saw them get banged up a little bit and struggle to bounce back. So, you know, this is a team that really thinks they have a chance to get to deep playoff run, maybe even a chance at making it to Nashville in the national championship. And so if you can put it in front of 6 states of viewing area, of course they're going to do it.
All right, so you think we're gonna go to Nashville?
I didn't say that. I said they could. I said they certainly could. I think on paper, when you look at the league as a whole, I think the Montana and Montana State are really good. But I think SDSU is right there as well. And I said that a month ago, and the preseason rankings put the Montanas 1 and 2 and SDSU number 3. So if they can stay healthy, certainly they have a chance to, you know, when you get into the quarters and semis, you got to have some bounces go your way and stuff. But they absolutely would have a chance to get that deep in the playoffs. And then, you know, if they get those bounces to go their way, maybe they'll go to not Frisco. It used to be Frisco.
It used to be Frisco.
That's
now
where
it's
I covered
Nashville.
them twice. Now it's Nashville. They get a chance to go there. So we'll see.
Listen, I get the confusion. I really wanted to say Frisco, and you said Nashville.
I
was
said
like,
it once.
Where is
I
it?
covered them there twice, so that makes me feel a little
I get
better.
it because it was they were playing Montana, and I was in Montana when you were covering them in Frisco, and then I was on the anchor desk when Montana was in Nashville, and you guys
that was just last year.
Yep.
So when Montana won it all. So
so
very cool.
Well, they can watch it this weekend on Kelo.
They can. This weekend on Kelo, 6 o'clock kickoff, and then we'll do it all again in 2 weeks.
Perfect. Well, Grant, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Joey.
All right, folks, that is all the time we have for Inside the Newsroom today. Thank you so much for joining us, and make sure to join us every weekday at 1 and 7:30 right here on KELOLAND Plus. Until next time, I'm Joey Taylor. Have a great day, everyone.